Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. We got a lot to cover. Obviously catching up in the last couple of days. I've been gone. I've been on vacation basically with my wife and son just for a little 1-year anniversary. So this guy is just something else. A lot of fun. Awesome little kiddo. We have a good time. Of course, went up north there. Got in the woods there for a couple of days. So really quick little congrats here. Just got to throw this out here. It's awesome stuff. We saw 54% from XRP, 36% from BNB, Ethereum 57% there in 2 days, Dogwoof at 48%. So obviously all of our trades pretty much hit their targets. So it was awesome. Future reference too, if you see down below in the comments or more so just descriptions, you'll see that there's a promotion running right now until the end of August. So heads up, 50% off plus and premium memberships. If you have questions, feel free to reach out. That's all linked down below. So let's look at the back end liquidation data, kind of see where we're at. The easy way to understand it right now is that Bitcoin's due to correct itself, but it's also one of those things where it's considered a high risk if you're going to consider shorting. So, me personally, leaning more towards a short leading into the weekend just because it's a weekend, not because of overextension and the fact that we're probably going to pull back. There's a lot of volume, a lot of reasons not to short. So if you consider something like that, just know it's high risk. Shorting right now is a bad idea. I'm leaning more towards honestly taking longs with some altcoins. I'm going to see if there's any good opportunities here today. But all that being said, taking a look here, the overall sentiment is that we swept all the liquidation at 111, 112, we knew that. And of course, all the late shorts are coming in, piling and getting destroyed here. So outside of 120,000, there's like one massive large candle at about 120. We're looking at majority of all the liquidation here locally has been swept. So no surprise. Pretty much there's like just billions of dollars, I'm sure, in liquidation for shorts. It was just a bad couple of days for them. Anyways, having said that, let's take a look here at liquidation delta. It's up at 35 billion. This is close to its max. When Bitcoin ran from 70 to 100,000, roughly back a few months ago, we saw about 35 to 40 billion was the average amount of liquidation long delta. Okay, so it's generally one of those things where it starts to taper off at some point. This being a weekend, taking some profits would make a lot of sense. So to me, I'm just leaning a little bit more towards Bitcoin pulling back, not necessarily altcoins. We'll have to see how they respond though. But for right now, I think altcoin dominance is increasing, of course, because Bitcoin dominance is coming down. We'll look at that here in a bit. Having said that, though, we can see open interest pretty sparse in the local area here. But in the overall sense, actually, let's look at the last 7 days. This will tell us a lot more of where those local areas are here. So let's see. This isn't really all that descriptive. We got pretty big gaps. There's a little bit of 116.4, but pretty big gap between 114 and 116. I think there's a fair value gap there as well, so let's go ahead and double check that. We can see the pretty significant fair value gap between 112 and 113, and I think on the macro, we see 112 to 115 is that gap. Now, fair value gaps are not guaranteed to get filled, right? We have unfilled gaps from before, so try not to get stuck on that. But if those are consistent with, CME future gaps, then CME gaps are a little bit more likely to get filled here. And just so you know, we do have a CME gap between 114 and 115.6. So once more, not a guarantee we're going to see that, but it's very normal and practical for previous highs, basically our all-time high of 112,000, to be retested before we see the next leg up. There's a distinct probability we see something along those lines. Definitely not a guarantee, but something to be mindful of. Okay, so just want to kind of cover that. Let's go ahead and round things out here and just kind of quickly clarify on the daily time frame. I've got fibs pulled up from our local low to our local high, of course. So once more, a lot of confluence at this 110,000 mark. So that's our strong support, just in case you're not familiar. 110 to 107, we have a lot of open interest there and points of control based on volume. We look here, we're over 70 in the RSI, generally construed as a wait to take profit on your long position, or don't recommend shorting against this. Usually when you're over 70 in the RSI, it's a good sign that you've broken bullish. So that's kind of where we're at there in that regard. This liquidation range here at 105 still exists. I'll leave that on the charts. But to give you some perspective here, we're massively overextended on the RSI here as well. And until this comes back down under 70, in general, it's usually best to kind of avoid taking profits or ensure that you just kind of wait to take a short, right? That's kind of the concept there. So overall, outside of today being Friday and we have a potential profit-taking weekend ahead of us, there's a solid chance that we see the price sustain itself or go higher just based on all the indications that we see here. The most important indicator is volume. So just to kind of clarify, if you look at this volume here, it has stayed quite substantial the entire time. So until we start tapering off and consistently remaining below our moving average here, there's no reason to consider shorting this coin. All right. So once more, if we're still in the 118K range, close the business later today or end of trading today, then that may be a consideration to short. Just make sure you watch it. I'm not proposing you short the market at all, even though there's a decent amount of coins that should and could pull back. I think it's more likely that Bitcoin maintains its current range, especially with Bitcoin dominance going down. We're seeing altcoins start to surge. So it's not really a good time to consider shorting alts. I would say shorting Bitcoin is a different story altogether. All right. So that's kind of where we're at there. But once more, not promoting a short, just saying in general, it's a Friday after a significantly profitable weekday. It would make sense for the price to capitulate, maybe potentially fill that fair value gap and or the CME gap. I'll post all that on our playout charts here on Twitter, Telegram, Discord. It's all available for you there. And I appreciate y'all. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. We'll see you the next one. Thanks again for your time. Take care.